The book seems to touch on universal themes, and so what was it about the book that kind of like inspired you to kind of go ahead and make a film like this?
Well, I had read the book right during a terrible, horrific breakup, so I sort of felt like I was going through my own Liz Gilbert moment. But I love what the book is about, which basically the book is for women and men, as is the movie, because it says, you know, it's never too late for you to change your life. It's never too late for you to make an attempt to find happiness. If you're not loving your job, if you're not loving your relationship, change it up. Try something new. And that doesn't mean you have to go all around the world. It means you can stay in your own house. But I was very moved by that idea, and the book certainly inspired me to do that in my personal life. And then, of course, making the movie amplified that even more for me.
So in a way, did you go through your own version of Eat, Pray, Love, paid for by a studio, but at the same time, did you kind of end with the whole thing kind of transforming your own?
I did. I went through my own Eat, Pray, Love experience. I didn't find love till 6 months after the movie was wrapped, but I did. It opened me up as a person to get out of my box, get out of my comfort zone, scare yourself a little bit, throw yourself into something else. And I think the movie is an adventure. It's, you know, it's sort of like a very interesting movie in that it's an adventure story, but it's an inner adventure.
To work with Julia, what was your initial conversation like with her? I mean, did you know her prior? Was it an easy kind of pitch, or was she in on it from day one?
Well, our agents put us together because we were both fans of the book before anything. And then, you know, when you go to meet Julia Roberts for the first time, it's a little intimidating. I mean, I was the first in line to go see Sleeping with the Enemy. I kind of grew up with Julia Roberts and Pretty Woman and Erin Brockovich, and I've loved her work so much. But then, you know, you meet her and, you know, we laughed within, I think, 20 seconds, and then we never stopped laughing, and it's been sort of a year and a half now that we've been on this journey. I think she's just a great movie star, and more than that, she's a great actress, and there's not many people you can say that about that can be both of those things. And I just admire her personal life so much. I got to know her husband and her children. I'm writing another movie for her now to continue our love affair. I just love her. She's like the sister I always wanted, and we're both Scorpios, which is fun.
To work with something that is so beloved, the book, did you feel like you had to protect the source material? And did you feel like you had to protect the actor playing the source material? You know, like was there, or do you feel like she can kind of hold her own in a situation like this? Because obviously it's very vulnerable and she has to go through these different kind of emotions.
No, you know, I did feel that, but I worked very closely with Liz Gilbert on the project. You know, she read every draft of the script, she gave me notes, she told me a lot of things that were not in the book, she introduced me to everybody in the book, all the characters. I spoke a long time to Richard from Texas to get that big, great scene on the rooftop with Richard Jenkins. And, you know, vis-a-vis, I would, you know, tell Julia these things. And then, you know, Liz came and met Julia and was involved. And so this was very much, we had Liz Gilbert's blessing. You know, she saw the movie the other day and called me crying, and she was just so happy. Her husband was so happy, they were so relieved. And she said that she learned a lot about why the book was so popular when she finally saw the movie, so I was very moved by that.
There's a beautiful scene with Richard Jenkins on top of this ashram, and I heard it was actually the first take that you went with.
Yeah.
So can you talk about that scene, because I think it's a very pivotal and also a very, I don't know, it's one of the best scenes in the film. So if you can.
Well, that is actually my favorite scene in the movie, and it was a very interesting scene because I spent a lot of time with the real Richard from Texas writing that scene. You know, he told me a lot of things that were not in the book. So I wrote it, and you know, Julie and I and Richard rehearsed it in New York, and got it there, and then you know we got up and we were shooting it. Julia, I think, had 103 fever, but would not go home because she knew it was Richard's great big scene, and she wanted to be there for him like a trooper, so she was. And then we shot it, and when I got into editing, you know, as you do, you're like, okay, cut here, cut here. I'm like, I don't like this. This is a very brave performance by Richard. So I said, let me just watch it with you holding that first take, which is a 4.5 minute take. And I think it's wonderful because you really truly see a man going through a nervous breakdown. You know, and everybody, once you just held that scene, everybody just was in tears. I don't know, and it was so magical. So I was like, okay, this is a brave choice. Let's see what the studio thinks. And they loved it and they cried. So. That's how it happened. It was just sort of a magical moment where Richard Jenkins knocked it out of the park, the first take, and he was letter perfect.
Now, I know that you used to be a journalist also, and so I'm just
Uh-huh.
wondering, what is it about memoirs and stuff that kind of you feel the need to kind of do movies of? Because obviously there's original material and scripts, but what is it about these things that kind of you feel the ability to tell so well?
I don't know. I mean, I've done 2 movies now. They're both very personal. I think that movies choose you. At least I feel that way. Like I'm drawn to them because I feel like I'm working out something in my own personal life. You know, I really did feel like Liz Gilbert when I was adapting that script and sort of doing the movie. I felt like I was her going through what she went through. And at that point in my life, like I said, I had just gone through a horrific breakup. So it just struck me right in the middle of where I lived. And I think I wanted the happy ending that she had at the end of that book. I think that's selfishly why I did the script. So, you know, with Running with Scissors, it was very much about my relationship with my mother, working through something. I feel they're cathartic.
I feel like you're in a really great position because as a director and a writer, you're able to work out all the demons either via television and also through film. And so what was it that kind of allowed you to do that? Because a lot of filmmakers aren't allowed to do that. So how did you manage to be able to gain the ability to kind of tell the stories that you feel like you need to tell?
I don't know. I've just felt very lucky with my career because I feel that the things that I'm interested in saying, I'm not interested in doing just anything, you know, that I don't relate to. I want to do something that either scares me or I'm working through something, so they're deeply personal. And I think the more personal movies and television shows are, the more universal they become. I feel like if you can be really specific with your life, you think, oh, nobody's going to relate to that. They do. There's an emotional context to those things that sort of make it blow up and become bigger than you could even dream. I think Glee is certainly that way. I thought 2 people would watch that show because I thought it was so specific to different parts of my life. But I'm pleasantly surprised. And I feel the same way with this. I feel like that is a story that I deeply related to. And I put a lot of my soul and heart into it.